Welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode number 457. These two are kind of very interesting episodes. It kind of continues the whole Way arc. Kind of. Well, in the case of episode 33, this feels like filler. Despite the fact it features the appearance of the last of these disciples for this Way school, which of course the chief retainer is the one summoning her because the fox has disappeared. Yeah, he's gone for a few episodes. First of like 2 episodes he's absent for because he is going to come back. I guess at this point, because he's missed like 1 episode previously, it's like at this point, I guess his appearances are very sporadic throughout the remainder of the show. The reason for this, I don't know. Maybe his suit actor wanted to take some time off because he appeared in a lot of episodes. I mean, he only missed like, what, 1 prior to 32? Yeah. So, the matter, of course, is mourning his presumed passing. Instead of having a mask, it's basically his hammer. So the chief retainer summons a monster who, when she finds Ninninger, she falls for the Blue Ranger because he fell on top of her. Eventually she is destroyed by him. I thought the whole plot of basically having the whole thing of having a monster fall for Ranger, this, believe it or not, has only happened in previous Sentai. This has only happened once in Alba Ranger, where it became a comedic joke in the series where you have one of the monsters fall for the Yellow Ranger of the show. Here is basically where it's a female monster who falls for a male ranger. And so they put he had this drawer, obviously, and that was last at school. There was like nothing else left of them. So we have basically them asking, oh, can we help advance the yokai? And I guess their master, who appears in this episode, in this pool, first time he's been seeing the show since episode 19 of the series. And he can summon a couple of them, mind you. Well, depends on what he can summon. So the whole thing with this one is like, oh, he summons a monster who's all about having elders be killed by the younger. And while they're fighting the creature, when they're like, oh yeah, it's out. And then all of a sudden, Jiraiya returns. Yeah, because this is really cool they did this. Because for the first time in 27 years, we have World War Ninja Jiraiya make a return to the show. Excuse me. Which, those of you curious, is the same actor as from the show? Oh, yes. This was, of course, a one-off return for the character. He did kind of appear in Space Squad versus Deca Ranger. He did actually was Spaceship Gavin versus Deca Ranger. He did appear in that, but that was more like a cameo. But in the case of the actor, this is the return of the guy. Though he's wearing a slightly different outfit. I would say it's the same outfit. It's like his training guard from the show. The actor's a little bit older. He's in his 40s. So, and by the way, he actually is here wearing the attire, which was the upgrade outfit that he had during that happened about quarter way into the show with the golden choker, the goggles, which I think is really cool. And he's using a different sword, not the optical light magnetic sword, nope, but just a different katana he's using. And he thinks, oh, they're the Yuzei way. Like, nope, they're a different school thanks to, well, a Shuriken using, like, oh, because of the metal thing. And also, this episode debuts something that only, from what I've read, only appears only once after this. At least, it's the Ninja Protection Committee, which the whole thing about this group is that it protects the reputation of ninjas from the evil ninjas, and somehow Ninninger is to convince them associated with that particular group, despite the fact they have nothing to do with each other at all. And plus, the group's about yokai. So it's like they can't use the thing. They had to get permission to use the thing transform with a week notice, which that's stupid. Can't transform with civilians. All the previous Sentai had done that, no problem. And yeah, it's like so stupid nonsense. Oh yeah, and also they want Jiraiya to be their president, despite the fact he didn't exactly agree to the role. So basically, that Taka basically goes with him, and they kind of basically work together the whole episode. I like the fact this is happening. We have him working with a veteran ninja. First time since episode 7 of the show. Now, one thing I've heard the criticism related to the previous time he had veteran ninja in the show, that being Hurricane Red and Kaka Red, Ninja Red. One viewer thought that he disrespected them. No. Not the way I saw. It is more like they disrespected him. Because they didn't think basically he had the caliber. Because the thing is, he advances in combat. It was by far one of the most dumbest things. And in this episode, and one thing I should point out though about this point of the series, because the whole personality swap, Taka has become less hyper reactive like he was when the start of the show. It's like, I'm guessing what probably happened is that because like his history is more prepared than he is, because they had this weird thing where like when they had the whole swapping thing from a previous episode, where like it is basically my guess is a little bit of her stuff maybe got mixed up with his, so and that went into his head, and that's probably the reason why he's acting. Well, some people might think he's acting less respectful. He's basically acting more respectful here. Though he does refer to, he refers to basically Jiraiya's pops. Yes. Oh yeah, and also the dad basically is a big fan of Jiraiya. I mean, I'm sure probably he was. And of course, basically like, oh, Jiraiya. And they show various images of the various, get this. So, there are images of various characters who appeared in the show, which very cool, the fact they did that. And they go back to schools when they're in the community, and of course they run, and then afterwards they fight the monster, and of course Jiraiya gets top of Red, and eventually like, oh, because they dare break the rules, they can't transform for a month. And they're all like, this is stupid, why you prevent us from fighting yokai? I mean, there are yokai out there. Yeah, I agree with the ninja launcher that these protocols are so freaking stupid. And then, of course, and thanks to him working together, thanks to Taka and Jiraiya working together, of course, they break the one part of this thing, which is the weight, and freeze them, and eventually, this is quite interesting. So then they all transform, and then, of course, basically, because he earned Jiraiya's respect, the Shuriken transforms into an image of Jiraiya, which use it. And then we see, like those of you who have seen Jiraiya, we see the return of a weapon that was last seen in the Jiraiya TV show. That being the optical light magnetic sword. Because when it was last seen, it was basically put inside of a frickin' robot. And it was launched into space. Yeah, that was last time seen. Somehow Jiraiya gets back. And then they, of course, they have Jiraiya and Taka work together to beat the monster. And they, of course, use their mech. And then Jiraiya's like, use the Shuriken. And then we see an image of Jiraiya's mech from the show, the one appeared for a handful of episodes. We see an image of that, of course, beat the monster. And then Jiraiya's like, yeah, I'm going to take a position anyways. And first thing we're going to do, get rid of these 2 protocols. Because after this episode, I don't think they can mention again. But I think this was very cool, the fact they brought in Jiraiya. But this is something that people might criticize the show for. Okay, so they bring back the Red Ranger from the Red Ninja Ranger from Kaku Ranger and of course Hurricane Ranger, fine, because this was their ninja show. Why not have like a 3 ninja team up? Like you could bring back the rest of Kaku Ranger and the rest of like the Hurricane Ranger cast. That'd be quite cool. That'd be a really cool fan moment to see basically a 15 ninjas on the field plus Ninja Man. That would have been nice. But no. And for Jiraiya, this is interesting for Jiraiya because he himself is one of 2 characters who appeared in the show who do ever return after the show ends. The other being his brother, who appeared in the successor to Jiraiya, Marvel Cop G-Bomb, for 1 episode. Which, that's interesting. And those of you curious, what about the rest of the cast? Well, I highly doubt they bring back the Spider Lady in the show, because by the time this aired, the actress who played her since passed away. Well, as for everybody else, I don't really know. It's kind of weird. Of like, I mean, could they bring these people back at some point? I think in the case of Butterfly Ninja, I think the actress must be like too old at this point. She must be like 50s by now, but yeah, but great to see the fact. I thought 34 was a really good episode. Yes, I do know this episode was adapted for Ninja Steel, but they made Jiraiya Sheriff Skyfire, a guy who is an alien from space, and the monster was someone he was chasing. It's like when they adapted him for Ninja Steel, they basically gave him the Gavin backstory. Or basically, he's like the same thing as... It's like they took elements of Gavin and gave it to Sheriff Skyfire. I mean, the other thing's kind of weird of an alien who basically has their finger sticking out. Yeah. But otherwise, though, great 2 episodes. And this is my honest opinion in the matter. I think Jiraiya is better than Sheriff Skyfire. Yeah, I think so. One thing also about that episode, they probably couldn't show images of Jiraiya because they never adapted Jiraiya from American TV. Oh, one thing also was really cool with this episode was the fact during the fight sequence, they actually played the Jiraiya theme song. I thought that was so cool. I think they also played like one of the fight songs in the show too. I thought that was really cool. I felt as though you watch this episode. This episode was clearly made by somebody who was a big fan of Jiraiya, because Jiraiya is in a good chunk of this episode. I'm sure the director himself must have been a big fan of the show. But I think him and the writer, because Jiraiya is written to be respected by ninjas, but I don't know him very well. The fact their dad basically a big fan of this. Now, one character would basically tell the ninja community to basically just get rid of their stuff is the last ninja himself. But he's been absent for these 2 episodes. Not sure exactly why he's been absent, he just has. I would have thought, though, they would have, like, I think him meeting Jiraiya, that would have been very cool, but he was not in the episode. Yeah, he was clearly absent because it seems like when I was watching the show here, it's like at the start he's here for a good start of the show. The 10 episodes, he misses 11, and then he comes back for 12, 13, misses 14, 15, and 16, comes back in 17, takes 18 and 20 off, comes back in 21, does 22, and then takes 3 more episodes, so it takes up 23, 25, comes back for 26, 29, takes off for 30, and after 31, 32, it's like Yeah, have him take more episode time off. Take off for episodes 33, 34. He's back for 2 episodes, and he takes out for 38, takes out for 40. Yeah. So out of the 47 episodes for the show, he misses 1, 4, 7, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, so out of the 47 episodes, he misses 16. So he's in it for 31 episodes. As to the reason why he's not here, in the case of this Jiraiya one, I think he should have been there. Oh yeah, definitely. I think he should have. But he wasn't, sadly. And here's something interesting though. So previously, before he appeared in this show, he appeared in Jakku Beetle Fighter. Yes. Yeah, where basically he was like the lead in that one too. Yeah. I'll eventually get to that show, don't worry, but it seems like after the show wrapped up, he never did anything ever again for Sentai. Not really, no. Maybe because basically he just did movies. Yeah, well, he didn't do much TV shows anyway, so he probably was busy doing movies. That's probably the reason why they couldn't really use him very much at all. Yeah. But otherwise, though, that's pretty much to discuss here. I mean, the Dry episode was awesome. And it's a good thing I watched Jiraiya before I watched the show, because if I watched it before I watched Jiraiya, I'm like, who the heck is Jiraiya? At least I was familiar with him. Yep. Though one thing interesting though that he does note in this episode, in 34, he does take over from his father as the head of the school. He's the 35th head of the school, but there's no mention what happened to his siblings. I would have liked it if he would mention what happened to some of the surviving cast members, like the surviving characters in the show, like his siblings. What happened to them? What happened to his father? They did mention the dojo's still active. Okay. I kind of felt as though that, yes, the show is paying tribute to Jiraiya, obviously, but I kind of felt as though you could have done some follow-up stuff with that. That's the only thing I didn't like about the episode. Yep, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. I will see you all much later, probably tomorrow at least, for more of this in one video of One Piece, okay? Let's feel.